In our discussion of Adam as the archetypal man, rather than the sole biological progenitor of humanity, we have explored how this perspective might interact with the traditional doctrines, particularly the doctrine of original sin. A common concern is that if Adam is not viewed as the literal biological ancestor of all humans, it could undermine the theological foundation of original sin, and, by extension, the atoning work of Jesus as the second Adam. However, a closer examination reveals that the doctrine of original sin does not necessarily require a biological connection to Adam, just as our imputed righteousness through Jesus Christ does not require biological connection to him. The doctrine of original sin, as traditionally understood, teaches that all humans inherit a sinful nature and guilt from Adam's disobedience in the Garden of Eden. This inheritance is often described in terms of genealogical connection. Adam's sin is transmitted to his descendants. However, the theological foundation of original sin can also be understood through the concept of representative headship, rather than the strict biological transmission. In this view, Adam serves as the representative or federal head of humanity. His sin is counted as the sin of all humanity because he stands in for all people. This concept of representation is similar to how Jesus, the second Adam, represents all who are in him, bringing righteousness and life through his obedience. The key point is that Adam's disobedience brought sin and death into the world, affecting all humans, not because of a physical inheritance, but because of his role as humanity's representative before God. When we view Adam as the archetypal man, we understand him as the figure who embodies the human experience of falling into sin, rather than the literal father of every human being. This perspective does not negate the doctrine of original sin. Instead, it shifts the emphasis from a biological transmission to sin, or of sin, to a more symbolic and representative understanding. Just as original sin does not necessitate a biological link to Adam, neither does the imputation of Christ's righteousness require a biological connection to Jesus. In Romans 5:12-21, and 1 Corinthians 15:45-49, Paul represents Adam and Christ as two representatives whose actions have universal implications for humanity. Adam's disobedience results in death for all that exhibits itself in our propensity practically towards sinful behavior, while Christ's obedience brings righteousness and life that exhibits itself in a desire to please God. The effectiveness of both Adam's negative impact and Christ's positive impact rests on their representative roles, not on any biological connection. This understanding maintains the theological integrity of the doctrine of original sin. By viewing Adam as the archetype of humanity, we acknowledge that all humans participate in the same fallen condition that Adam exemplifies. This condition is not tied to a specific genealogical descent, but to the shared experience of sin and separation from God, and the need for a Redeemer. Similarly, Jesus as the second Adam offers redemption to all humanity, not because of biological relationship, but because of his representative role as the new head of humanity. His atonement is universally applicable because he took on human nature and perfectly fulfilled the obedience that Adam failed to achieve. This representative function is the basis for the imputation of both sin and righteousness. Therefore, for all in Adam, sin and death. For all in Christ, life and righteousness. The archetypal perspective on Adam does not undermine the doctrine of original sin. Rather, it offers a broader and potentially more theologically consistent understanding. Original sin does not depend on a biological connection to Adam any more than our original righteousness depends on a biological connection to Jesus. Instead, both doctrines rest on the representative roles of Adam and Christ. Adam's disobedience brings sin and death to all because he represents humanity, just as Christ's obedience brings righteousness and life to all who are in him. This framework preserves the universality and efficacy of Christ's atonement, ensuring that the theological core of Christian doctrine remains intact, regardless of how one interprets the specifics of human origins.